Welcome back to Impulse Plays. I am Crazy Carl Winter, and I've got with me Ben Landstill Landers, ironically, for a Landstill match. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back.
Yeah,
Always
especially.
excited to see this a bit of a classic matchup,
Mm,
Landstill versus Goblins.
the tale as old
Um,
as time.
yes, indeed.
So let's
Yeah,
get
it's a
yeah.
go for it.
No, I was gonna say let's get right into it. So I got the we got the Landstill list pulled up. We're looking at that, and I think it's only slightly different than yours, right? Like I think your list has like three coastal towers and like some different sideboard cards, but otherwise about the same.
Yeah, the list is fairly stock. I've been playing around with a couple of my Mana Leak slots for prohibits,
Mm.
which I've been enjoying.
Oh, he's playing a full
Uh,
four mana leagues. That's a lot of mana leagues.
yeah,
Okay,
full
yeah.
prohibit leagues. I think that's kind of the normal way people have been going.
Mm-hmm.
I think Powder Keg in the main is also definitely a flex slot.
I could see that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I
So,
think
yeah.
one of the big callouts, I guess, is he's running the two fairy conclaves,
Mm-hmm.
which is not uncommon, but it's been, I guess, less
I'll say
favorable lately.
lackluster.
A little bit lackluster. A lot of people are cutting those. I haven't been a big fan of it because you attack with it so rarely.
It's three
Um,
mana. Like it's three mana to attack for two. That's
Well, and
it's
it
not a great rate.
consumes two of your blue sources, right? Like
Right.
both in
Right.
tapping a blue to activate it and in tapping itself to attack.
Yeah.
And most of the time you're looking to leave some amount of blue open,
Mm-hmm. For
and
counter spells and
counter
stuff.
whatever
Yeah.
standstill.
Yeah.
Um,
Because yeah, like the basic idea behind the Landstill deck is that you're casting Standstill, playing like a creature land, and then cycling it a Kree Justice or something at some point,
yeah.
and just like killing them under the standstill. What do you think about Forbidding Watchtower? I feel like that's a thing I've seen somewhere before, but I don't remember where.
Yeah, there was a recent list that I think uh won a fairly big event that was running
Oh yeah,
when
it was the list I lost to in Massachusetts. Yeah, yeah, he was playing Forbidding Watchtower. Yeah, it was. I mean, it didn't matter against me because he just was going to kill me one way or another. But yeah, it seems like a sweet card.
Yeah, it seems interesting. I can see it doing some good work holding the ground against
It
like
blocks a lot
treetop
of things.
villages.
Yeah,
Blocks a lot of things, which
yeah,
is very interesting.
yeah.
I haven't had a chance to try it out yet, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate it.
Nice. Then we got some onslaught basics, which are pretty good. They don't. I don't see a whole lot of synergy with the rest of the deck. Um, I guess it makes it easier to cast Decree of Justice, but you know, that's a small part of the strategy.
It's true. They're still pretty.
Yeah, that's true. And important
Maybe not.
sideboard cards are going to be like the Warmth, the Hydroblasts. I don't think you bring in Meddling
Mhm.
Mage against Goblins, right? Oh, maybe Circle Red. Yeah, Circle Red's probably pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at Josh's Goblins list, and it's a pretty standard list. And as we were talking about before we started recording, Josh doesn't have any naturalizes in the main deck, which means he just doesn't respect other druids, which I think is perfectly fair. I don't agree with it, but I think it's perfectly fair. Um, what do you think about Hearth Charm? I'm a really crappy Magic Boomer, and I don't know what that card does. I know it does something with destroying things and making something unblockable. Beyond that, I've got nothing.
Yeah, Hearth Charm. I can't believe you don't know this classic, Carl. It's
Mm-hmm.
one red, destroys an artifact creature, like 12
Mm-hmm.
12s, for example.
Is there a mana
Uh,
cost limit on the creature, or is it just any artifact creature?
just any artifact creature.
Okay.
Uh, you can do, I believe it pumps all attacking creatures +1/+0 is one of its modes, and then
Okay.
you can give target creature power 2 or less unblockable, which is mostly relevant for things like sneaking goblin lackey hits in, or
Right.
uh, really applicable to pile driver,
Yeah.
crashing in boatloads of damage.
Right, because you can cast it before you attack, and then you get the trigger with all the extra pumps from your goblins attacking. You just hit them for a boatload, right?
Seems good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. And looking at Josh's sideboard, he's got a couple Call of the Claws, which seem pretty good, and then maybe Anarchy. Actually, no, Anarchy's pretty good. It kills Circle Red, it kills Soldier Tokens, it kills Humility.
Hmm.
Um, but it's also a 4 mana sorcery. Like, is that? I can't imagine a world in which that resolves, right? Like,
Maybe these games tend to go really long,
okay.
and in terms of like, at least from my perspective, Who's the Beatdown is often actually the Landstill deck,
That is so
which
weird.
is a tough place to be in.
Yeah.
Uh, like you
Mm-hmm.
kind of need, right? Like you need to not counter anything that's not the bombs in
Mm-hmm.
particular leader.
Yeah.
Uh, and basically like sticking and protecting humility is pretty big. It's
Yeah.
a lot harder post board when all the naturalizes come in
Right.
and all the callers to poo
Yeah.
poo on your Wrath of Gods.
Yeah, he's got
Um,
Blast and Hull Breach too. Yeah, Josh is a pretty stacked sideboard, so um yeah, let's say we hop into this match and see how that goes.
all right.
Alrighty here. We've got Josh on the left, playing Landstill with a minor earthquake, because I think we told them like touching the table makes it shake. But Josh just clearly gives no hex. And then we've got Chris on the right playing Landstill. Both players thoughtfully showing their hands to the camera, and I was too busy making fun of them for earthquaking the table, so I didn't see it. That's okay. So Goblins is looking to
Yeah,
get
they
turn
got
one
lands
lackey. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yep. So Chris has got the first turn land, and Josh does not have the turn one lackey. That's gonna be pretty rough. That's got to be good for land still, right?
Yeah, it's good. You really feel more comfortable getting that land down right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Two man up, going into no lackey. You're feeling much better than you would be otherwise.
Yeah, seriously. Looks like you got an impulse that I can see. So I think we're gonna see some fetching and impulsing at the end of the turn. Oh, man, I love Goblin or Mog Fanatic. Don't get me wrong, but like attacking for one on turn two is just not where you want to be without dropping a Goblin to play, right?
You could play a post combat.
That's true. That's true. But you don't get to put it into play for free. Ooh, he's got
That's
the
true.
pile driver,
Here's
which is
the
nice. So relevant thing, Fairy
fetch.
Conclave does not block Goblin Lackey or Goblin pile driver. I'm sorry.
Sure
Whereas
doesn't.
Forbidding Watchtower does successfully with only two goblins to play.
Hmm. Yeah, and you get to use your generally less valuable at instant speed white mana
Mm-hmm.
to.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Although getting that double white for the humility and the Wrath of God can be challenging. And we've got Chris. Okay, mana leaking. Okay, I thought he was going to impulse. Maybe there wasn't.
Perfect.
Maybe what I thought was impulse was actually mana leak. That could be my bad. We did
Looks
speed this match up a little
another
bit.
mana leak again.
Heads up, yeah. Yep, you got another mana leak
No
counter
third
spell.
land for Landstill though. That is rough. Here
That is
comes the port.
that is not where you want to. Oh, and he's got a port. Yeah, that is
Oh,
something else.
looks like he's opening on port your blue
Wait, is
main
it?
phase.
Okay, yeah. This seems like it's Josh's main phase. That's
Oh,
interesting.
and
Oh,
he's
he's probably
opening.
dropping a lackey. That would make sense. Yeah. Yo, yeah, he's got lackey in his hand. Yep. Here it comes in
Yep.
post main phase. Yeah. With Chris stumbling on mana, that's gonna be really rough.
You hit
But
the third land off
let's
the
say
top. There's a
versus a
Addercar waste there.
champion, he's got the Attica waste fixing his mana completely. Unfortunately, I don't see an. I don't know if you see an answer to that, Lackey. I don't. There is a
It's a little
humility
hard to
there,
tell.
though.
The humility in hand. There is two other white cards. I think one of them might be Wrath of God, but he's got to hit that. We
That
have
break point,
five
yeah.
lands now, really, assuming the ports are going to keep coming in.
I like this impulse from Chris. It gives him a chance of getting to either his fourth land for the humility or getting a Swords of Plowshares to stop that Lackey from putting a creature into play when it hits Chris's
Mm.
face.
Unfortunately, it looks like a whiff on the swords, but a hit on a land.
Which is really important at this point in the game.
I hope he takes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's got to take the Darker Waste, right? Or Plains there? I guess it doesn't matter, yeah.
Yeah.
A untapped land is all that matters. Taking the coastal tower would have been very sus. Very greedy, but very sus. Alright, so Chris takes 2, dropping down to 14, and a Siege Gang comes out. That is not what you want to see when you're planning on dropping Humility next turn. Although I do see the Wrath of God in his hand, which is pretty nice, but Josh does have that Rashad port, which taps a land for only 1 mana and really disrupts him a lot. Oh, he took a Mishra's Factory. Ooh, that's greedy. I think he should have taken the Darker Wastes.
He's got another land in hand.
It's a Fairy Conclave, though.
Yeah.
He is not resolving those 4 mana sorcery speed spells anytime soon, unless he gets
No,
really lucky.
That's the hard thing against this goblins. Like, you stumble on that mana for one turn. It's
Mm,
very easy for them to make sure you never hit that critical 4 mana point.
right. I mean, to be fair, Chris is playing, let's see, 8, 13, 17, 21, 25 lands. That's not an unreasonable amount of lands. I could see keeping the 2-lander there, but it's
Hmm.
two lands with mana leak, like on the play, not the worst. Um, it's
Hmm.
very cold to Goblin Lackey,
Impulse.
which was not an issue until later, and then it was an issue. But
Right.
yeah, Impulse helps you get there. But yeah, it looks to me like Josh is pretty firmly in the driver's seat here. Like that, there's no pile driver hitting for 13,000
Yeah.
damage, but
As long as he keeps tapping down white,
mm-hmm. Lackey putting in a Fnatic, that's not where you want to be.
I mean, he's already done his job.
Yeah, he really has. He just drops out the other Lackey
Generated
because why not?
6 mana now.
That's
Well, why not could be
that seems
draw.
bold. Yeah, if Chris
Did he have
draws another white source,
Oh,
Josh
okay.
just loses his board. He's got 2 siege. Oh no, Chris is just dead, right? 2 siege gang activations, 2 Fnatic activations.
Oh yeah, he's currently dead on board.
Okay, well, we'll have a very exciting couple minutes of watching Chris flounder around and be dead eventually. I think. I mean, he doesn't have Stifle in his list, and I think Josh knows pretty much what's in his list, but
Yeah.
he didn't port him because he was saving the mana for the Lackey or for the
Oh,
porch
right.
the siege gang. There
There's
we go.
he doesn't
All
get
right,
ported, but doesn't get ported because
but he
Achilles is.
does get died. He does get
Yeah.
died. Yep. Okay.
Rough.
Yep. Okay. So we didn't have to wait for them to just die terribly long. That's good. That's good. So yeah, I don't know. That game would have been very different had Chris hit all of his land drops. I think he had all the pieces he needed, but I think we're going to say sideboarding after this match because I cut out everything else. So we'll just have to see what happens from there. All right, Chris takes a mold to 6 and does not as thoughtfully flash his hand at us this time. Drops a beautiful
Bingo.
onslaught plains. Very good for casting Decree of Justice.
The turn
Okay.
one Lackey, the turn one Swords.
Ooh, nice. That's right where you want to be as Landstill. That's right where you want to be. It's like a Mishra's
Yeah.
Factory. That's nice too. Can't see what else he's got
Got a
going on, but
still to follow this up.
it doesn't look like it. Hey, okay, so I see counterspell, counterspell. Oh, he's there. He's tilting the factor fiction. I don't know. What do you think about not dropping the factory there? I feel like having a factory in play would have been better.
Depends on if he's got something to use the blue on.
Hmm. Ooh, turn 3 warmth. Not quite as good as chill, I think, would have been in this situation, but it's still a sweet card. Like, especially the factory in play, because the factory gets to animate, block a creature, and then every creature
Mm.
Chris play or that Josh plays gains Chris life and plays into Wrath of God.
Mm-hmm.
Although Josh does
Yeah,
have the port to nullify that factory.
I do the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Drops out a sharpshooter. So untaps when a creature dies and taps to deal damage to any target. Pretty good with the
Doesn't
Fnatic
untap
in play.
on its
I'm sorry?
Yeah. I said, but doesn't necessarily untap on its own.
Correct. It does not untap during your untap step because that would be pretty unfair. But really good with the Fnatic because you can basically do 3 damage to something. Chris is gonna be
True.
hard pressed to keep these factories alive, depending on how the stack works out. He's got to, yeah. I think I don't know if Josh has to really do anything, right? Like he can just sit back and chill. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, he lets Chris land this huge factor fiction. This is turn 40, still sitting at 20 life. That seems pretty good. All right, what do we see here?
Looks like a powder keg, mana leak, impulse, another factor fiction, and I think that's decree of justice on the end.
It looks like that to me too, yeah. Okay, so Keg, Foth,
Keg
Impulse Melee.
cloth versus.
What do you think Chris takes here? My
Uh,
inclination is to take the Thoth pile, but
I
that's
would,
because I love Factor Fiction. But there's an Impulse in the other pile, and that's the best card in the format, so I don't know.
Yeah, I would probably take. I would
Hmm,
probably have taken the 3. You
maybe we
only
let.
have so many. You
Yeah, I
only
don't
have so
know.
many 3s. Uh, Impulse probably finds you Wrath, which you're gonna need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. And Chris is getting ported on upkeep. What does he port though? That's the question. I think he hit the darker ways as counter. Yeah, that's good play by Josh. As counterproductive as it feels, like you're playing your aggro deck, you want to hit damage, but like, so you want their Landstill damage, but this cuts Chris off of counterspell next turn, like completely. Oh, no mana leak. Like Josh gets to do whatever he wants now.
Yeah. See, this is an untapped land. You can cast your extra off right here.
True. If this is Forbidden Watchtower, it would be just as bad.
True. Maybe worse because it doesn't tap for blue.
I was thinking it. I wasn't gonna say it, but I was thinking it. Shout out to the gentleman I played in the top 8 of the Dress Crew Open, who crushed me with Forbidden Watchtower. I am so sorry, I don't remember her name. It was many moons ago, and we met for 40 minutes. Okay, so he's yeah. Okay, Josh reminds Chris of the trigger, gets in with the
Mhm.
fanatic.
What do you what do you try to get your keg up to here? It's Goblins has a ton of varied costs.
Yeah, which is yeah. Keg is something as odd as it sounds might be worth cutting against goblins.
It's
I
definitely not as good as Wrath 4, I don't think.
definitely yeah. I mean, it comes out on turn 2, so there's that. Which,
There's
if that's
that.
the case, you get it to 1 and you just hold off the lackey forever. But Chris had the plow for it, so I think at this point probably 2. Even though it only hits pile driver, pile driver is hitting for the most damage. So like,
Yeah.
yeah,
The sharp it's giving you is turning off all your man lands
lot of
effectively.
yeah, a lot of virtual damage. Yeah, Josh has got a ton of mana values in his hand. Like this is not the game you want to see Counter kick in for sure. That's it. Chris is developing his mana base a lot more cleanly this game, and I think that's another
Another mod
fanatic that came out. That's right in the glare.
fanatic.
Um, don't worry, we're well on our way to getting our studio set up, so it'll be fine. But in the meantime, we're working out of my dining room. So, um, okay, so Josh's Kraken. This is an interesting attack. So the Pod Driver gets +2/+0 from attacking with the Fanatic. Cannot
Hmm.
notably be blocked by Fairy Conclave. That's pro blue. Shout out to
Yeah.
that really
You
obscure
can
random
do
ability that's on that card for no reason.
in you can do up to 4 damage to a Mishra's Factory with both the fanatics.
Yeah.
Maybe both
Five.
5, right?
Yeah,
You
5. Yeah,
want
if you just that's it. Deal combat damage. Gets a well. No, it's the same, right? Yeah, it's the same. Magic's hard. I think it's the same. It's between 5. It's like 4 or 5 ish. It's enough to kill a factory. It's enough
yeah,
to kill a factory.
right. Which even with like a double pump is
Yeah, this is where we let God take the wheel and assume that Chris and Josh know what's going on and they'll understand how the interaction goes here.
mm, so it looks like activated factory with a
Mm-hmm.
pre-pump on the stack.
No, I think
Just
he activated it with the factory.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Is he holding up Mana Leak? I think that's what he's trying to do. I don't know that that's what he wants to be doing. Yeah.
Maybe it
Josh does a
yeah.
nice sharpshooter play with the Fnatic. Gets an extra damage in too. So this is where Magic players, like a new Magic player looks at this board and you see like a few creatures on Josh's side, you see some stuff on Chris's side. You're like, oh, okay, this is pretty even. And then like there's a bunch of life on both sides, and like with a little bit of extra knowledge of the game, you say, okay, the mono red player obviously isn't taking any damage against the control deck. The control deck is still pretty close to 20. That's pretty good for the control deck, right? But
Mhm.
I and he's got a Wormton play, but I don't know. I've got a gut feeling this is not where Chris wants to be. I think it's with that sharpshooter being in play. Like that's really powerful.
Yeah.
I didn't see what he took there because I was too busy yapping, but I did see a really pretty counter spell go to the bottom, which is always sad. But I mean, what are
he
you
has
counterspelling
managed
at this point? Like, it's just.
he's managed to develop his mana, so like
Mm-hmm.
you set up that turn where you can like wrath stand still.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Which
Or maybe
I don't
even
know if it's even a good play though, because like you may Wrath Standstill, but then Josh untaps and slams a Ringleader, and it's just like, what are you
yeah, you
doing with
kind
your
of
life?
really need kind of really need the 8 mana at that point, right? So it's
Or
like
seven with
Wrath,
a blast, yeah.
and- right, or something with a blast.
Yeah.
Um, or it's like you Wrath pass counter, then untap standstill.
Mm-hmm.
With
Mm-hmm.
been there's a lot of some careful sequencing to getting the most out of standstill required for sure.
Yeah, it's a very the card requires a lot of finesse, definitely. I'm too used to just slamming AKs in Factor Fiction, so it's a little bit beyond my purview, but
Just tap mana, draw cards.
yeah, that's what I want to do, but like with Standstill you might not, and that just doesn't track. All right, so Josh has got an attack coming in with the Pile Driver and the Fanatic. Chris
Just a
thoughtlessly takes a
land.
damage from his own lands. Ugh, boy, that seems terrible. Gets an island. So his mana looks real good. He's short. If you had one more white source, it looks good. That's what's been bugging me. He only has two white sources worse that are shot in port.
Mm-hmm.
But he's in a good shape to like cycle Decree of Justice. Boffing.
Another
Okay. I don't like tapping the planes here. Just means you're going to take a damage from the Swords of Plowshares that I'm assuming he wants to draw.
mm-hmm.
Beautiful Mass Counterspell.
Counterspell Mana Leak versus Lands and Swords.
Hmm.
I think I make the same pick.
Yeah, I definitely make the same pick. I don't think I'd do the piles that way. I think I'd probably put like Mana Leak with Plow and then Counterspell with the lands. Because Chris is almost certainly taking that mana that Swords of Plowshares. I don't think you'd take it
Right.
with a land, but I think you would take it with a Mana Leak, and that lets you get another card out of his hand, basically. But
Yeah, you might be able to bait it with like the 2/3 split, like one land and plow.
mhm.
Do
um,
the
just a
start one.
quick point of order. We are both completely garbage at this game because that powder keg has been in play for at least 6 turns.
Oh, it
Neither of us
just
have
ticked up.
commented on it getting kicked up. Yeah, yeah. So heads up to Chris
So,
for noticing it before we did.
we didn't know how many counters we wanted it to tick up to,
I
and
mean, you
neither
want
did
at
he.
least
So
one. You want at least one. You're not
he was
hitting it for zero. At least you
prepared
hit
for
the
one of
tokens off of
them.
Siege Gang Commander, but
Right.
oh man. Someday I'll, maybe at year 35, I'll finally
It,
understand how this
it's
game
fine.
works.
Listen, yeah.
All
Again,
right.
Rich Shea destroyed me at LobsterCon when I forgot to uptick my powder keg.
He will do that. Rich Shea is a monster.
Yeah.
I really think the only way to deal with him, honestly, is just ban him from the format. That seems like the only plausible way of containing that monster. But that's neither here nor there. So we have a Dust Bolt coming out here. See some counter magic in Chris's hand. He's still got that factory. He's got a fairy conclave, but that port's just sitting there. Like it's an icy manipulator to deal with those creature lands. It's not going to be good.
It's got a ton of mana.
Yeah, he's got a ton. I don't think he has anything to do with it though. Like that's just the really rough part.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets his factory ported and
Like you can't even fly over for 2 poke damage with your fairy because it's just gonna die for free.
yep, it's gonna die and then deal damage to you later on. Like, okay, nice counterspell on the war chief. I don't know if I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
one
know.
what
Oh,
I
okay,
guess
he missed the warmth trigger there,
out
but
this
Josh
game.
reminded him. Okay, at least Josh knows how the game works, so we can at least have some credibility here. But um, how do you feel about counterspelling the war chief there? Is that one of the cards you're really worried about as land still?
You you shouldn't be, but on the other hand, like
I
I
mean,
don't know how many
we're on like turn 75. They both have like
back
16 lands in
have
play.
resolved this game,
Yeah.
but they found a lot of white removal, which
Mm-hmm.
is distressing from the Landstill side.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
generally, an Right, like generally you need to counterspell ringleaders because
Mm-hmm.
that's the only way to actually like
Generate card
run
advantage, yeah.
goblins out of like you need to run goblins out of dudes in play. And the
Yeah.
only way you're really able to do that is by making sure that ringleaders and siege gangs don't hit the table.
Yeah. It looks like Chris is thinking about using this Dust Bowl. I think he needs to deal with that Rashad port.
But yeah,
So correctly using the Dust Bowl here. My inclination, I guess you can sack the Edgar Wastes. Yeah, I guess that's fine. I
I
would
would
think you could sacrifice the
I would
Flooded Strand, right? Like,
Floodus ran honestly this fairy conclave could go.
yeah,
Uh
heck that Carry Conclave. And you could be a real bro and like activate the Fairy Conclave and then toss it so that Josh gets an extra activation from the Sharpshooter. That seems very gentlemanly.
seems like a bad idea, but you could.
Well, being a gentleman doesn't always work out for us, Ben. Sometimes we have to man up and do the right thing to help our friends out. This
Ooh,
is an
interesting.
interesting standstill. I like it with the Dust Bowl in play because Rashad Port's not an issue anymore.
Yeah,
Those creatures are not getting
and,
through the Mishra's Factory.
but you do need to keep ticking up the powder keg to get rid of that sharpshooter to unlock your factories.
No, he just kills the fanatic here. That's fine. Now there's a sharpshooter sitting there, threatens a damage. Like that doesn't do
That's not too
anything.
bad.
This is a stalled board. This is great for Chris.
Well done.
Yeah, he. I feel so bad for the control players in situations like this because this is like turn
So
73 and he's just now
the
achieved
other,
stability.
here's the thing though. The fanatic
Ooh, it
is
breaks it right away.
yeah, he
Yeah,
doesn't
there's no
have
counter mana open. Yeah.
the
Oh,
other
is that a
reason that either
Hydroblast? Wait, why isn't he Hydroblasting this ringleader? I
uh
don't. Is he out of islands?
he can't be out of islands.
That seems like a goof. I call
Yeah,
party foul here. That's the
that's
best
a
card in Josh's deck.
either
You
either
suck at
either,
that.
either his hand is full of islands or right, he's got to hit that on the stack right there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, well, the other thing, like in my opinion, you have to clear the shooter because
Mm-hmm.
it's turned off all of your decrees.
That's true. Well, it turns off your cycle decrees.
Yeah, but you have standstill out.
You do, but you can wait until the goblins player has 7 cards. You can then plow the sharpshooter, make them discard 3 because they don't have anything to play at instant speed, and then you just slam your decrees whenever you feel like. Like
Mhm.
this is 100% on the Landstill player's side of the board. I think I think this game would have been over with that Hydroblast there if he had an island. I don't. Yeah, I think this
Yeah,
Wrath God is too late. Also, I think Chris might have missed a warmth trigger, and I think Josh dropped the ball too. So poor form on Josh. You really should be more on top of your
number
opponent's
2. Let's
triggers.
go.
There we go.
Attacking.
First blood.
There's a gentleman's play.
Mm-hmm. Tap with the misdirected. Nothing more honest than that in this format. I don't know. Josh has like 30 cards in his hand. Like this is not going to be good. Lackey gets blasted. Okay.
Be another warmth trigger, though, right?
Yep, there's another warmth trigger. Comment section, feel free to tell us like each warmth trigger we missed because I know I've missed at least 3 or 4. Oh,
Oh, there
Chris
we
got
go.
it. There you go, Chris. That's heads up. That's heads up. Another lackey. Oh no, that's a prospector. Okay. Josh takes another damage. Okay, and drops out a pile driver. Huh.
Be
All right,
be
Chris. I'm gonna
full
be really sad if you have an island here. If you
here.
get an island.
He does
Okay, he doesn't have planes. Okay, maybe he doesn't have any more islands.
remember the last game 2.
Nope.
All right.
Okay, so got a plow on the pile driver. And is this where Chris just like draws a decree and slams it down for 2 angels? Like he did have another island. Oh no, Chris! Why did you hydroblast that ringleader?
Yeah.
That's okay. I'll forgive him. He's such a nice guy. Like Chris is like one of the nicest dudes I've ever met. Like I can forgive him for not hydroblasting this goblin ringleader. Like I can only do it a few more times before he starts like using up his nicest equity. But like he's good for now.
Cindy. you make oatmeal cookies that good.
That's
And
true. That's true. Actually, each time we hang out at his place, like he buys more equity there. Yeah, so he's a good chip. He's gonna be a good chip forever. Yeah, he's got this planned out. Well, this is I don't know. This doesn't look good for Josh. Like he's sitting on 4 lands, but he's got a full hand. Like the blast there, a ringleader.
rare fairy conclave attack.
I mean,
We're flying.
I don't know how I feel about activating that using that factory to activate the fairy conclave. That's a free damage for
Yeah,
Josh there, basically. Got the warmth
but like
trigger.
if you're not gonna dust bowl, you should definitely be tapping it for your manland
I think
activations.
he's dust bowling here though. Yeah, and even still,
Yeah.
like Porcano is still. Oh no, he's factor fictioning. Okay, blast in the foff. Okay. Yeah, no, that seems pretty good. That seems pretty good. I don't know, maybe I'm just bad at the game. No, I'm definitely bad at the game. So like I just don't value red blast very highly, just in general. Because against Landstill, like you're stopping counter spells, but like I don't feel like they're that important.
Yeah,
Stopping factor fiction is a big deal though. That's
it's
pretty good.
but if you look at the matchup as who gets ahead in card advantage is winning.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's like blasts on factor fiction versus blasts on ringleader.
Right, right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So Josh very correctly assessing the value of his very limited interaction to stop Chris's card advantage. Sort of. I mean, the result two other factor fictions, but like this one was
Right.
huge because Chris doesn't really have anything in his hand, so like he's just not in great shape.
Oh,
He's got another
wow,
war
he's just got
chief.
an unending supply of goblins in hand over there.
Yeah, his hand is stocked, and I think he's doing a good job of trying to bait Chris out because I feel like Chris is gonna counter here. Like I just got the inkling that's what he's gonna do because that's one less counter spell to counter a ringleader. You know. Oh,
Mm.
he's got a decree in hand. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean 4/4s are really good at holding off goblins.
They are. Conversely, you just make 6/1/1s here and block his board and then make 2 tokens.
Yeah, you can do the Wrath Decree play.
JK have 1 token left. So what is I'm curious. I would get Goblin Ringleader here. He's getting Goblin King. Okay. Okay.
He thinks he's got enough goblins in his hand.
I mean, he
Right.
probably does. I think he's probably right. Yeah.
Overcome the war. Sure.
Josh does not play into the decree, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Chris makes 6 soldiers. Remind me to get Chris some pre-modern era soldiers.
Mm-hmm. A
I
big
think I have
fan
some
of
extra
the
ones. I'll have to double check. I have my LobsterCon ones, and I bought some
unglued soldiers
recently.
myself.
Yeah, the unglued ones are nice. I put a Card Kingdom order in a couple days ago for some zombies and squirrels, so I'm excited to have those come in.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
Did you get your elephants for your Call of the Herd Madness?
yeah. I have like 6 now. I have more than I need, but I could use more. You can always use more elephant tokens. Card's so good.
6 soldiers, pretty good.
Yeah, Josh
Wonder
is
if
not gonna get through anytime soon, but I don't know that he needs to. Like he can just. Does he have a second? Does he have a
this
second
is
sharpshooter? I don't think so. But Siege and Commander's a card.
3, 4.
And Chris is running low on resources. I think Chris is down to 1 card in hand. Takes out the extra
Like
port.
those could be 3/4/4 flyers instead. Which probably puts
Yeah,
you
yeah,
much better.
true. I think Chris is trying to play as the control deck here, and as you mentioned, he probably should be playing as the aggro. Like, yes, he did just attack with a fairy conclave. He flew over for 2, but like haymakering that decree of justice, using that mode of making angels instead of making soldiers probably would have been good.
Right, like that's your I know it doesn't come up very often, but in this where like you haven't been able to deal with the opponent, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's your late game.
Okay, good counterspell from Chris, stopping the ringleader. The king comes out, and it does not look like Chris can do anything about it. Like he's up at 24, but Josh's board is frankly much bigger than Chris's.
Mm.
He's got to just crash him with everything, right?
Yeah,
I think you would just attack with. Do you attack with the king too?
maybe.
I feel like you gotta attack the war chief too. I don't know.
Yeah, it would take 3 soldiers to kill it. I think I agree.
I think Christmas. No, he took all the damage. Okay, yeah, I thought he missed one there, but he did not. He did not.
Well,
He's good.
that's fair. He's got warmth health to work with.
He does, but that health did not last forever. Um, Interesting point that so I've been discussing with the Feb Cabal about possibly playing Warmth over Chill. Um, Chill would have been really disgusting in this match with the Dust Bowl in play. I think Chill might be the
Mm-hmm.
way to go when you have Dust Bowl in your deck versus Goblins, which has 8 non-basic lands
That's
in the deck.
this is beautiful Winter Factory coming into play though.
Heads up play Chris drawing that and then like sacrificing the other ones to the Goblin Horde to let the Winter one survive. That's some heads up play right there.
Mm-hmm. Strong synergy bonus.
Mm-hmm. Remind me to get
So
Josh some
Steve
Goblin tokens. All right, we got some work to do with the crew here, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
is those are a lot of beefy goblins.
That's a lot of goblins. Yeah, this is a lot of power. Comments, please tell me how much power I'm missing at this point in the video. It's a lot. Um, I think he's priced into. I think it looks like he's wants a chump block. I think he should be trading here though, or trying to trade because the siege gang makes it really impossible to trade. That's brutal. Yeah, that's a rough spot to be in. I think Chris is hellbent. Oh no, does he have a card in hand?
Knocks the top of the
Draws a
deck.
decree. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Maybe too late for Angel Mode to save
Oh,
you,
he did
but
not cast Angel Mode because he could have gotten 3 angels.
like
He's at 22. That might have been enough. Yeah, because Josh is at 11. Like, what's he gonna do against 3 angels?
yeah. Right, you just need to survive the one turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Which,
making 3 angels there's you're only like 3 angels pass, do some blocking, hope the math works out.
yeah, I mean, you can do some math or just not block, and then Josh throws roughly 18 damage at you, and you still have a few life, and then you crack back in for 12 and win. But that's also
Holy
assuming he
cow.
doesn't throw any goblins out. Jeez, that's another Siege King commander. That card makes a lot of creatures.
It does. And a lot of tutus with haste at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Goblin King, not a card I'm often super impressed with out of goblins, but when you have 2 sieging commanders in play, it's 2 extra lava axes. Like that's pretty strong.
Mhm.
So Chris is making 8 soldiers. The earthquake foretells they're joining the battlefield.
And their subsequent demise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, geez, they just have to chump block, right? Because Josh has got like 17 creatures in play. So yeah, I think Chris
Yeah.
is just calculating out the chump blocks and
You're
ends
gonna
up
need
with
to fill out
nothing. So he's drawing to Wrath of God or Impulse. Darker Wastes, I don't think does it.
that is not Wrath of God, no.
No, it is not. It is not.
That was he still gets one more draw off the top here.
Oh, right, he had the Cycling Draw, and that's a Sword Splashes, which is also not a Wrath of God or an Impulse to get to a Wrath of God.
Late.
Well played, guys. Well played. It's an interesting match. Josh was very patient.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very patient. There's a circle red that would have been pretty huge. Although at this point in the game, like I think that Josh would have gotten through. We did not see their sideboarding. I think we forgot to have them put that up on camera. But yeah, really interesting match.
Yeah,
I'm
strong
yeah.
sequencing out Josh there. Just
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm just gonna play like commit a goblin a turn,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it until
Yeah, I think Chris did not lean heavily enough into the creating angels. Like you mentioned earlier, it's not a very commonly used mode, but sometimes making 4/4 flyers is pretty good. Like you just get in there.
yeah, I don't often beat goblins, but the matches I do tend to look like that, right? Where it's kind of drawn
Mm-hmm.
out back, but
Slam out
you
six
manage
six
break
six
out
angels. Yeah.
of the mana choke
Mm-hmm.
and then make angels.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you all for joining us for another episode of Impulse Plays. We'll be back again sometime soon. For Ben and myself, thanks for joining. We will see you around. Feel free to like, comment, and/or subscribe, but you don't have to. I'm not your dad, and if I am, we've got much deeper issues to discuss than like commenting and surprising. Have a good one, everybody.